Okay. We are live. Hi, everybody. My name is Michael. I am a Zen practitioner. I've been practicing Zen and other forms of Buddhism since I was about 12. And I've had the wonderful opportunity to practice all over the world. But I'm really happy to be practicing with you tonight. So out of curiosity, how many of you have meditated before? Yeah, let's go. This is like the seasoned veteran group, huh? This is the hardcore Zendo. Wonderful. Well, I like to ask this at the beginning of the class. Are people interested in talking about practice or just practice? Especially with Zen, I know often it's nice to just sit. So if you want to talk about practice, hold up a 1. If you want to just sit, hold up a 2. If you want to do both, I don't know, hold up both of them. Yeah. I like this, the nonconformist. Okay, nice. So it looks like a little combination of both. Great. So tonight, what I thought we'd talk about and then practice is what, in my mind, is the most beautiful part of Zen, the most interesting part of Zen, which is there's a Zen koan. Everybody know what a koan is? Anybody not know what a koan is? Okay. A koan is a Zen story that basically doesn't make sense. And it's supposed to not make sense, right? It's supposed to break your mind out of the conceptual way of thinking. Anyway, there's this story, and one of the teachers goes up, one of the students goes up to his teacher and he says, "What is the way? What is the way?" Which is probably why you're all here, right? That's why I'm here too. What is the way? It's a question we have to ask ourselves always. And it's often the start to a koan. So he says, "What is the way?" And his teacher looks back at him, very calmly says, "The ordinary mind." That's it. That's the end of the story. Right? Yeah. Disney's probably not going to do a remake of that one. The idea being, well, let me ask you, what do you think that means? Yeah.
The mind that is in the present, in the now, accepting everything, like not reading too much into anything, not future tripping, the ordinary mind, as defined by enlightenment.
Nice. Yeah. So for anybody online, they said the present moment, not future thinking, not in the past, but whatever's present. Is that right?
Yeah, like the ability to just be.
The ability to just be. Exactly. And, sorry?
I could be wrong.
You're not. Anybody else? The ordinary mind. Yeah.
I think it's like a fun little loop, because as soon as we start naming what the ordinary mind is, there it goes.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, a loop in which anytime you try to name something, it automatically disappears, right? It's like trying to grab water or something. Yeah. Some friends and I at a meditation retreat one time played this game where we try and say, you just go around in a circle and everybody says, awareness is, and then you say whatever you think it is, right? It's really fun because it makes you tap into it and you're trying to think, oh, awareness is peace, awareness is spaciousness, awareness is, but you can't put it into words, right? And anytime you do, again, it's like trying to grab water. Right. Anybody else? Ordinary mind? What does that mean to you?
I think unfortunately it means our mundane everyday experiences that we are trying to probably get away from, which isn't really what we're supposed to be doing.
So why did you say unfortunately?
I say unfortunately because it leads us to delusion when we don't want to be here in the present moment. We start to, fantasize about maybe enlightenment is something different. Maybe it's the heavens part and light comes down. And the reality is, it doesn't really look like that. It just kind of looks like what we're doing right now. It looks like driving to McDonald's sometimes.
Exactly. Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. Yes. The ordinary mind is, as we're saying, what's happening right now. And as soon as you try to put it into words, disappears. But the important part to remember is that it is actually what is happening now, not what you want to be happening now. And that's where most of us get stuck. That's where I definitely get stuck, right? Because when we think about enlightenment, right, it's like full lotus position, hovering above, like I never get angry. Everything is just peaceful in my life all the time, right? One of my teachers says, after all my years of practice, and this guy had been practicing for probably 60 years at this point, he says, I still have every single one of my neuroses. I'm just better friends with them. Right? And I think that that's what's, again, the part that I really love about Zen is that you don't need to memorize 100-syllable mantra and recite it 100,000 times. It's one of the key components of Tibetan Buddhism, right? You don't need to attain some special deep form of concentration, right? It's just shikantaza, just sitting with whatever you're doing, or driving to McDonald's, or being super pissed at the person in front of you right now, or being incredibly depressed, or being ecstatic about, if anybody saw the moon on the way over here, oh my gosh, right? All of that is a doorway to enlightenment. So let's just try and sit with that for a sec. I will, lead us in, but mostly I'll just be quiet and we can all just be with whatever's here. But I want you to really focus on not focusing, on whenever you notice your mind wanting to go somewhere else than it currently is, can that too be an opportunity for presence? The wanting to go somewhere else, the planning, the thinking about what you had for dinner, what you're going to have, the, oh my gosh, my knee hurts, whatever, fine. Be with that thought fully. Be with that body sensation fully. And if there's any part of you that says, no, it shouldn't be like this. I should have a calm mind, or I should have a steady mind, or it should be peaceful, or it should be XYZ. Can you be with that too? Great. So if you like, you can take a comfortable posture. Legs can be crossed, or maybe feet flat on the ground. Knees is great too. The idea is just to be comfortable. Your spine, think of it like a stack of coins, resting, but also in alignment. This is a Zen class, so we can put our hands in our universal mudra, if that's comfortable, or just rest them on your knees. And your thumbs are just slightly touching, like you could hold a piece of paper in between. Chin is ever so slightly tucked up and under to help straighten out your spine. Eyes can either be closed or gently resting, half open, half closed, a few feet in front of you. If it's helpful, you might count your breaths. Breathing in, know that you are breathing in. Breathing out, know that you are breathing out. 1. Breathing in, breathing out. 2. Might go up to 8, or you might lose track. And if it feels right, you can let go of the numbers entirely. And embrace whatever's arising in this ordinary mind as an opportunity for awakening. whatever you are experiencing, the ordinary mind. This is the way. So if you like, feel free to give yourself a stretch. If your knees are hurting or anything, feel free to stand up. One thing I would ask is, just out of respect for the Buddhas, try not to point the bottoms of your feet at the statues. So point them. I know there's a lot of Buddhists around here. But, one of the things my teachers taught me. So I think one of the best ways to learn any practice is to hear what it's like for other people to do it. So what I'd love to do is have, if anybody feels comfortable, just share what came up for you during the practice. It could be something interesting that you experienced. It could be something you're struggling with. It could be a question. It could just be you have no idea what's going to come out of your mouth, but you just feel like talking. That's great too. In fact, I think that's the best way to speak. And for the rest of us who are listening, to really try and imagine what it would be like to experience that. Most likely you have, or you will. And so really try and think about it as if you were that person experiencing it. So, what showed up?
At the end, as I thought, like, but what is mind? Like, when you're mining on Earth, right, you're bringing stuff to the surface. So, something is mined, it is brought to the surface. Just simply.
Interesting. So, what is mind? M-I-N-D, right? Parallel to mine, M-I-N-E, right? And that when we mine something, we bring it to the surface in the same way that you might mine a mineral or something, right? Do you notice that process of it being sort of submerged and then emerging?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
And what is that like?
Coming back to awareness again, right? A shift in perception, I suppose.
Do you think that, I'm sorry, I keep asking you questions. If you don't want to ask any more questions, if to mine something is to bring it to the surface, is that something we consciously do, or is it something that just happens?
Whether it's something coming from unconscious or conscious, it is like, it's conscious within the body, right? So I think it's always conscious to some degree or another, whether it's within us, like actively conscious as we're thinking about it, or as our being and our essence is entertaining what's, what we feel is appropriate to relate to it. So.
Yeah. One of my teachers used to love to say, not self, only mind. There's nothing. And for those of you who might be a little new to Buddhism, a lot of it comes back to no self, anatta, right? Said to be three truths, anicca, anatta, and dukkha. Anicca is that everything changes. Dukkha is that there is suffering inherent in everything. And anatta is that there is no self. So not self, only mind, right? To your point, it doesn't really matter if it's conscious or unconscious. Conscious or unconscious is also just a form of mind. To be conscious is a thought. To be unconscious is looking back at a thought. And so if there is not self, only mind, then this whole concept of ordinary mind becomes even more vast, because there is literally nothing that is not mind. Hearing a sound is mind. The way we label it is mind. The experience we have of liking or disliking it is mind. The concept that becomes is mind. Our story about it becomes mind, right? All of that is mind. But we want to hold on to that, right? You mentioned earlier, unfortunately, it's the ordinary mind is everyday things, right? And then I think you mentioned later, we should do this or we shouldn't do that, right? What is should? Also mind, right? Is not self, but we want to make a story. And that story is our self. Anyway, thank you. I really like this. Mind is mind. Yeah.
So I have a background with Goenka's Vipassana.
Mhm.
So I still look at sensations in the body without reaction.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's quite challenging, especially if it's a very gross, dense pain.
Yeah.
Like I have something going on in one of my toe joints.
Mm.
And I don't feel it when I live in Hawaii part-time because I don't wear shoes. But here, then I put shoes on. It starts getting inflamed. And I'm sitting, kneeling down. It was like seesaw, I think it's called. And it was really hurting. And it was like I was just noticing it and just allowing it and being with it.
True.
Another way of anicca. Because it sort of went away.
Yeah. Thank you. For those of you who are not familiar, Goenka-ji or SN Goenka was a Burmese layperson who basically was an incredible very, very successful business person, but also had these tremendous headaches that he just couldn't get away from. And so he started this practice of meditation in the Burmese Theravadan tradition of just observing things. And in many ways, that's exactly what we're talking about, right? Not self. Don't grab on to it. This is a good sensation. This is a bad sensation. But just notice anicca, the fact that it's changing, the fact that it's moving. And eventually, you're right. It will change, right? And that is so hard in the moment, especially with physical pain. So thank you. I'm curious for anybody, was there anything that showed up in your meditation where maybe something showed up and then you reminded yourself, ordinary mind, or something along that line, and it changed the way that you experienced it, interacted with it?
I think for me, in the beginning, when you said, either silence your mind or if you have a thought, just sit with it. I noticed that I was finally giving myself permission because that was some internal struggle I always had. I was like, do I keep my eyes open or closed? Do I silence my thoughts or do I listen to my thoughts? And today I gave myself permission to just sit with them. And I noticed that just by acknowledging them, I would catch myself drifting and then I'd just, come back, and, center myself again. And I did that a few times, but then at the end, it's like I kind of like got in that zone where it was like, okay, I'm here, I'm in this room, this is what I'm feeling, I'm thinking. Coming from a background of from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, I'm always like going for work or personal life, I'm always stimulated by things. And I never give myself permission other than that moment from home to work that I can just sit with my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think it was very powerful just giving myself permission to do that. Make me feel better.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful share. Yeah. This weekend I was thinking about, we spend so much time and energy making entertainment, right? Like Hollywood, just the concept of, and Netflix, and like how much content is there out to watch? But you want to watch something crazy interesting, just close your eyes and try to be quiet for 30 seconds. You are going to see some stuff, man. And the longer you sit, the more stuff you're going to see. And It's interesting. Again, to just give ourselves permission to allow those thoughts to move. Yeah. I'm curious, as you started to give yourself more and more permission, you said eventually I sort of like dropped into it. What did that experience feel like for you?
It was like letting go. I think I was fighting myself. It was like, okay, do I want to just keep my eyes open or closed? Do I want to like be in silence or be in thought? And it was like this internal struggle. And at the end, I was just like, no, just be, just exist. And I just let it take me. And I was just like, okay, I'm here.
Wow.
So that's how I can describe it.
Amazing. One more follow-up question, then I'll let you off the hook. When you were just being, did you feel more or less in control?
It was almost like I felt more in control. I just let it ride. It was like, just let it ride. Like, whatever happens, happens. Like,
right. Earlier today, I was sitting with a group and we were practicing open awareness, which in many ways is zazen, right? You just let anything emerge and arise and be with it. And the teacher at the time was describing it as, it's like sitting in a boundless ocean and you're just floating and all of these things are just passing you, right? And one of the guys reported, I got really freaked out because if I'm just sitting there, then I'm not doing anything. And if I'm not doing anything, then I feel like I'm going to sink, or I feel like something's going to come at me, or I need to hold on to something, right? Granted, this was in the middle of the workday, and I don't know about you, but work mind, very focused on control, right? Task, like you said, morning to night, right? But the paradox that you're describing is that when we let go, we actually have more control. Because most of the time, we think we're in control. I'm not going to have any thoughts. How's that working out for you, right? Or I'm just going to be happy, right? Or I'm not going to think about X, right? What's the first thing you think about? And what I find so interesting, again, it comes back to, again, this not self, only mind. You stop trying to hold on to it. I am not going to have any thoughts. I am going to be happy. I am not going to think about whatever. And just let thinking about whatever or happiness or thoughts just arise and pass away. You realize you didn't really control it to begin with. But that spaciousness of being able to watch it come and go gives you the choice in how to respond to it. And so in many ways, it feels much more like we are in control. Thank you. Yeah.
I haven't been here in a few weeks. I've been, working a lot, but, every morning I wake up probably around 4:30, and I bike to my morning prayer group at my church. And then I'll meditate when I get home, or I'll come here, or I'll go to the other temple on the park. So then I do it every morning. I pray in the morning, I talk to my God. And then in the evening, I'll meditate and I'll try to get a response. And then, but I bike to work. It's my car. My bike. Not so long ago, a few years ago, my life was on a different path. 3.5 years clean sober. But I had the car. I had 2 cars. I would go to work and then just waking up at the last minute. Oh, I need my coffee. I need to do this. Get here. Just very regimented. So, all that changed. And now, like I said, I wake up early, I bike, and I see, I see the downtown skyline. I hear the birds, and I get to my church, I sit with my thoughts. I go to work, sometimes I'll take the bus, I say hi to people on the bus. And all these things that I used to take for granted, like life was passing me by. And it's actually kind of nice, it's just, I had to slow down because, deep into my addiction, I just wanted the fast life. And so It was a rude way to talk. And now, I'm biking, I see people in their cars drinking coffee, doing makeup, eating, go, and, I miss it. And that just feels nice. And the blood pressure is way down. It's like 70 points down.
Wow. Thank you for that. What a beautiful description of ordinary mind. I mean, yeah, this is San Diego. It's like 72 and sunny every day here, right? But how often do we forget to notice the sunshine? Or like you said, the birds chirping or the beautiful skyline?
I have a thought. When you were talking about having thoughts arise and just kind of like observing them and staying with them and letting them sort of dissipate on their own, I thought about like my own practice. I feel like I spend a lot of my time when thoughts come up, just trying to acknowledge them and then going back to what I'm doing. And the more I think about it, I'm like, maybe I'm still trying to exert some sort of like control over them by doing that. Maybe, staying with them and just sort of like seeing what they're doing and observing them is a better route to go.
What do you mean better?
Maybe, I guess maybe I don't need to do anything about them. Maybe instead of like trying to acknowledge them so they go away, maybe just let them be.
Are you asking that as a question or as a statement?
Both.
Thank you. So if I'm understanding your question right, there's often in your practice, you notice thoughts arise, and then there's a subtle shift back to the object of attention, whether it be it the breath or, I don't know, loving kindness or something else you're focused on. And you feel like that is, there's a question about, is that the right way to do it?
Yeah. A lot of times, I'll be focusing on my breath and, whatever random thought will pop into my head. And I'll try to, think to myself like, oh, I'm thinking about, whatever it is. And then try to focus like on my breath again. But I guess where my question is should I just sort of observe it more and less try to acknowledge it with a goal that it will go away? Does that make sense?
You tell me what you think the answer is.
I don't know.
I will say right now, acknowledging it, hoping that it will go away, leaves a lot of residue.
Yeah.
Because that hoping to want it to go away is also kind of a version of the same thing. Something that I find really interesting, I've dealt with this a lot in practice of, you're focused on the breath, squirrel. Okay, now I'm with squirrel. All right, I'm going to come back to the breath, right? That is like Buddhist meditation 101, right? Squirrel, back to the breath. Squirrel, back to the breath. Do it nicely, do it kindly, do it lovingly. That's great. Another practice that if you want to play around with is, why did I go to squirrel? And see if, I loved how, the reason that I was asking you whether it's a conscious or unconscious process of minding is because there are actually lots of steps that happen between breath and squirrel. Often it's some sort of agitation. You're bored with the breath. You're nervous about something else. You're whatever. It could be a lot of things, right? But if you're just forcing yourself to look at the breath, you're going to miss out. What was it that brought you over to squirrel?
Yeah.
Right? And that's super important. Because again, that's the ordinary mind, right? That's the next layer down. The reason that we're focusing on the breath is just to give our mind something to focus on, right? It's like giving a puppy a bone or something, right? It just gives them something so that it doesn't rip up your furniture anymore. Right. But I'm not going to keep going with the puppy analogy. It's going to get lost. But it is really important to understand what is causing the puppy to rip up the furniture, right? Maybe it really needs to go for a walk. Maybe it's really hungry. So noticing where your thoughts are coming from, I think is a wonderful practice that might be helpful for you. And know that often thinking about squirrel or where squirrel came from just leads to, oh, and what did the squirrel have for breakfast? And then where do squirrels go to school? And do squirrels learn anything at squirrel school? Anyway, the point being is your thoughts will just start to go, and that's fine. Bring it back to the breath. The last thing I'll say on that is, again, you dropped a wonderful wisdom nugget in there, which was the easiest way to find where it came from is in the body, not in the mind. Asking yourself, well, why did I go to squirrel, is just going to proliferate thoughts. In Buddhism, they call this papancha. It just means like, the wheel of thought. But if squirrel happens and you all of a sudden say, what's going on here? You might notice, oh, wow, I have some tension in my chest, or actually my back really hurts, or, whoa, I don't feel anything at all right now, right? Embodiment. Yeah. Great. Anything else that people want to share? Awesome. Let's do one more sit before we call it a night. Just want to be short. But again, find your comfortable posture. Spine awake and relaxed. You can bring your hands into the universal mudra if that's comfortable for you. Eyes either gently resting a few feet in front of you or eyes closed. And you might simply ask yourself, what is my way? Right now. Not what it should be, or what you want it to be, or what you don't want it to be. Just what is it? This ordinary mind. What you're experiencing right now. This is the way. If your eyes are closed, you can gently open them. Maybe give yourself a little bit of a shake, a twist. When you're ready, you can gently come back to the room. Thank you all so much for practicing tonight. If it feels comfortable, I'm going to dedicate the merit. You may join me if you like. May our practice tonight benefit all sentient beings. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. And may they rest in boundless equanimity. Thank you so much. I think we have some announcements.
Just some quick ones.
Quick ones.
Hi, everybody. I'm tonight's host, Meredith. We opened the Dharmabumtemple 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They're simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone with addiction, and our food redistribution program is every Thursday at 4:30. We have classes and programs every day, and everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website and also posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and just bring it back whenever you're done with it. If you could please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out, that'd be great. I already locked all the windows, so we don't have to worry about that. Thank you for being here. We wish you well, and we hope to see you all again soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.